Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend D.G. Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
I love Ben Riley.
Thank you, Lil. All right, kids. Welcome back. It's the end of the month, so you know what that means. What Lilith Hellfire has lovingly dubbed the Sausage Fest. I am Phil. Of course, the Australians are here. Mr. Signal of Doom himself. Fresh from Australia, it is Dave.
How you going, Phil? How you going, Ray? Great to be here.
Yes, that's right. And also, of course, I know all his fans are breathlessly anticipating this. Yes, a High Priest of Conchu himself, the Spider Baby. It is Ray.
Hey, hello. Hey, Dave. How you going, Phil?
Hey.
Yep. Super pumped for another adventure with Ben Riley. And, yep, down under.
Have you sacrificed many virgins to Conchu in the last month since I've last seen you, Ray?
Oh, many.
12, 13. Yeah.
69.
69 under a full moon.
Right, you know.
Yeah, where is Lilith, actually? There was
Yeah.
plenty
Hey,
of
Lilith.
talk.
It's too early.
Should come on one time. Lilith should come on one time.
She
for
wants
one of these.
to, but it's too early for her. I mean,
This calls for
especially with her lifestyle. Yeah. It's
this
too
calls
early
for
her.
a phone
Party
call,
thing,
Phil.
yeah.
You got her mobile phone number? Just
Oh
give her
yeah,
a
she
call.
ain't gonna pick up.
She ain't picking up this hour.
She's in a coma at this point. You know, between
I
her
love it.
lifestyle. Yeah, she's
There's like a haze.
Oh yeah. Her as she lovingly calls it, her anxiety medication. Yes.
Oh, we've all been there. I used to get very anxious. I got very anxious in the 90s a lot, so I needed to take a lot of something else to compensate.
Yeah.
You know,
But
stay in the fog.
you're anxious every Saturday night, weren't you, Dave?
And Wednesday night, and Thursday night, and Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night.
Well, she might be getting a new job, so she may be moving to Mexico.
Mexico,
Really?
yeah.
Yes, I'm
way.
scared because I mean she's gonna be getting that like hardcore tequila if she goes down there. Yeah,
Wow.
she already said. Yeah.
Drink the worm, Lilith. Drink the worm.
Ooh. I had a margarita at a work function on Friday night. It was fantastic. It went down perfectly as well. Like we had the jugs of margaritas, and I had to go somewhere and drive like quite after that.
Oh,
and I thought, so I had one margarita and it went down so nice. And went through my brain. I thought I could say F you to this errand that I have to do and just get stuck. And I actually thought I could really just hammer this really hard and it could be really messy. Or I could just leave now. And I decided to just leave, after one. But, and I spoke to
Very
someone
sensible.
who was there and they kept going till like 1, 2 a.m. So,
Wow.
the sweet margaritas.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. I know you said you wanted to mention. Do you want to mention some Comic-Con news real quick?
Oh, yeah, I'd almost forgot it. I was like, what am I supposed to mention?
Margaritas.
Well, there was so much I thought at Comic-Con. Just
Marvel
in general. I mean, my God, like we're going to do, I hate to advertise, but I don't hate, I love it. On Signal of Doom tomorrow night, we're going to do a special breakdown of the Comic-Con news, but just focusing in just on the Marvel, my God, like Phase 5, Phase 6, 2 Avengers movies at the end. I saw Secret Wars, and I went crazy.
Oh yeah, they get. They gave the schedule through like 2025. Yeah.
All I can say is it's worth living. It's worth hanging on this rock for a couple more years.
Yeah.
The war in Ukraine's raging, COVID's still going, but I'm determined to keep on living. Because I just want to get to Avengers Secret Wars. And the only question I have, and I want to put it out there to the fans, what about the X-Men? Come on.
Wasn't
Surely
there
we're going to see Wolverine by Secret Wars.
Did you hear there were some rumors I saw circulating online, and they said that they were going to release a movie called The Mutants. It must have been pure
I heard
fabrication.
that as well.
Yeah.
And
There was a rumor that that instead of
Yeah.
X-Men they were going to call them the mutants or
if
something.
they call
Yeah.
them mutants, I'll be super pissed. And I may possibly go over to the US myself just to deface the Marvel officers for that stupid decision.
Although I've always heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but supposedly, I don't know if Stan Lee was originally thinking about calling them the mutants, and then
But he didn't.
Nah,
But here's the question. But he didn't.
Full
He was
next-
talked out of it.
Yeah.
That was the thing. It was like, oh yeah, and we were going to cast Bob Hoskins as Wolverine back in the '80s, but we didn't. Thank God. We got Hugh Jackman.
I heard Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
Oh my gosh.
But all I can I mean, in all honesty, I mean, there was Spider-Man freshman year, is that right, Phil? There's which I think is a prequel to Homecoming, if I'm correct.
I think it's
animated series with Charlie Cox voicing Daredevil in there, so that's cool.
Who's also been cited in the She-Hulk trailer, which I watched. Which I'm looking forward to She-Hulk. I like She-Hulk, and I think if you like a bit of fun and comedy,
it'll be fun.
I think it's kind of fun,
Yeah.
Overall, look, there's some stuff I don't care about, but you know what? So much stuff that I am so looking forward to that I don't like. Not every show has to be for me. Sorry,
Blade.
Yeah.
Oh, Blade. Yeah, Blade.
Yes.
Blade.
Oh.
I'm massively looking forward to. Yeah.
That's coming up like the end of next year. That's so quick.
November 2023.
Yeah, they
Can't
thought. I guess we were assuming it would be 24, but no. So we'll
Can't
get it
wait.
early.
Don't you wish you had a time machine to go to the exact dates of all these things now? Like turn up, you turn up, you walk in, you see it, you go to the next one, boom, 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 boom. I think overall, because I do think some of the complaints about the current phase, okay, I hear some of the stuff. I was kind of underwhelmed by Thor: Love and Thunder, but I do think what they've got on their plate leading up to those two Avengers movies is they've got a pretty strong hand overall. I really do believe that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys mentioned Daredevil Born Again coming.
Can't wait. 18 episodes. 18 episodes.
18
Yes,
episodes.
18. I saw that this morning. I was like,
That's
18.
massive.
It's a proper season. Now, my question is, and I want to
It's
put
like
it
3
to you
seasons.
guys.
Yeah.
I want to put it to you guys. Finally, what I describe as a proper season of TV. Do you think there's any chance the Punisher might make an appearance? I do. I think there's a chance.
Yeah. I think that it's open. I mean, they've got Vincent D'Onofrio. They got Charlie Cox back.
And
There's
they've got
no
18 episodes to play with.
Yeah, and there's talk of Kristen Ritter being back as
I
well.
mean, if you look on Disney Plus, they changed the name of that Jessica Jones to AKA Jessica Jones. So it's like it's like you're not just changing the branding if you're not going to do anything with that character.
By the way, do you like my product placement? I've got my Spider-Man mug
There you
out.
go.
Oh, nice.
Spider-Cast. I just think overall it's just super exciting. And I just think that it's honestly what they needed to do, I think, because I think a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of my friends. I don't have that many friends, but those I've spoken to who've seen Thor: Love and Thunder were very underwhelmed. And we're talking about some pretty hardcore Marvel aficionados. And I think a lot of people are like, we want to get back to movies with a bit more weight and just a bit more excitement. And a lot of them, and like Fantastic Four, I mean, I'm excited to see what Marvel do. Now that they've got the Fantastic Four brand, surely they can't screw it up anything more than Fox did. Surely you'd trust. I trusted them to make a really good movie. So
and look, also, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, oh my God, the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Which has
That'd be
the
great.
captain, doesn't it, Ray, from Falcon Winter Soldier?
US agent,
Hawker?
yeah.
US agent.
US
Yeah.
agent.
Sorry,
Yeah,
US agent.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it will have. They're saying Baron Zemo potentially, Abomination. Right. I mean, there's names are thrown out. Well, we don't know. You pick a villain that's still alive.
Oh my God! If they do Zemo, they have to slap him in that Citizen V costume.
Yes.
I'm going to throw out a name. Joe Fixit.
Oh, I wish.
Great Hulk. Yeah, bring it on.
Wish.
I'm getting tired of seeing Professor Hulk. I prefer this.
Which is why I'm looking forward to the She-Hulk actually, because a fresh kind of Hulk, and she's got her own character. I tend to agree with Dave. I'd like to see the Hulk a lot more dominant, like a force.
Hell yeah.
What did you see? Peter, they said Peter David. I guess it's not until 2023, but Peter David's doing a Joe Fixit miniseries, set back in the days when he was in Vegas and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
good. And will that be in the omnibus, Ray? Have you got any details on that?
No. I mean, no, that's just been released. So, I don't think. I think it's too late to be added onto the I mean,
Marvel,
they
come on,
yeah.
Marvel. Volume 5,
come
because
on.
we've got 4 volumes, haven't
Yep,
we? So
Volume
far?
5 is coming out.
Excellent.
But I don't think that
In
Joe Fixit
time.
will make the cut. Yeah.
Well, what a disaster for publishing. So what?
Volume 6,
Peter
Dave.
David's got to do
Volume
another.
6.
He's got to do
Volume
it. Yeah, he's
6.
got to do more work to fill up a volume 6. Jesus.
Yeah,
That's fine.
double
Meanwhile,
dip.
he hasn't responded to my request on Twitter for an interview. So
Who, Peter
Oh,
David?
no.
yeah.
You know what? I spoke to him a few years, like 2017. It took me a few tries before he actually got back to me.
He's also got health problems as well, doesn't he? Like kidney, like
He
failing.
might, I can't remember, but I mean, I don't think he just just throws out interviews.
Oh no, he's a grumpy
he waits till
bastard.
he waits till he's in the mood and.
Yeah. Have you ever seen him in any other interview? Like
I've seen him that
He's
time
a
when he was
grumpy.
interviewed about the gypsies and he went crazy. It was awesome. It's my favorite thing of all time. I love. In fact, when I get him on the deep in the interview, I'm going to mention the tax and I'm going to mention the gypsies deep in the interview, and just to see how the Big Bear responds.
Peter David will be brutally honest. I know, like Charlie threw out like some kind of half-baked theory, and Peter David literally called him a dumbass. I know. I was like, I keep wanting to go back in the archive. I'm like, I got to pull that clip.
I want to say, I want to hear it. Yeah, like it's great.
Yes.
Hey, he's a guy who lives. Guess what though? I love his Young Justice run. I love his Hulk run. So,
he's still pumping out stories. Like it's still going well. So
he's a member of that Crazy 8 press too. I listened to a lot of the interviews with John Suntress, and not him, but other members like Paul Kupperberg, who I want to get on the show, and Robert Greenberger and other guys like that are members of that. They sort of self-publish like a lot of stuff. They're like a collective of authors, and he's a member of that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go check it out. If the others are just as good as Peter David, I'll check it out.
Paul Kupperberg wrote a lot of Superman and a lot of DC stuff. Yeah. Okay. That's all good.
Cool.
All right. So we're going to jump in on some of these Spider-Man issues because
Spider-Man.
Ben Reilly.
Unlimited. Spider-Man Unlimited 12.
Are we doing Unlimited? Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah. Because
let's have a little. Let's have a stab at that.
I think that comes first. Like I said, I don't think it matters, but I think that does come first.
Starting with the J. Jonah Jameson will pay you $100K if you can solve this case. I love this, J. Jonah.
Oh yeah.
We'll make it easy on Dave. It comes first in the trade. So.
I appreciate that. I didn't know who he was fighting against at first, and who was it? Is it Beetle?
Yeah. That's like an OG Beetle. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Nice design, I must say.
Yeah, I think this was a good issue. I'm just trying to pull it up on Marvel Unlimited.
I enjoy the issue. It's because it's like, I love the way it starts out. I think it's really cool. Like, it's all these people fighting Spider-Man as he's trying to get across town to his house because of the bounty that J. Jonah's put out. Like, it's cool. Like, is that
that was
Doc Octopus?
I think so.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Phil? Yeah.
Who? The woman?
Yeah, the woman with the sort of glasses on. Is that the female Doc?
I think it's like they were doing like a new version of the Scorpion. I believe. I think that's who that is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And this Jack-o'-lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, one of the.
Really cool.
Yeah, one of the next.
And we've got Shocker as well. Boomerang. They're all having a go. No, I love it because like one of the main, I guess, returning themes for Spider-Man, regardless of Peter Parker or Ben Reilly, is that he's just always severely like outnumbered. Like he the stakes for Spider-Man is always huge. He's like one little fella against like
he's always the underdog, Ray, when he's done
always, no matter how. Yeah, exactly. So I love it. There's that panel there where Ben Reilly finally makes it to his empty apartment because we know from last time
everything's been stolen. Everything's been stolen.
But it looks like he's had just the roughest day. He's like torn and tattered. No, it's great. I love that sort of thing. And they kind of clarified. They explained again the third skeleton we get in here, like the smokestack.
I've got a question. And I need it to be understood. So, excuse my dumbness. Okay, in the original storyline, I understand they fought or whatever, and then at the end of it, he thought the dead one went down the smokestack, and he
they fought. Peter thought Ben was dead. So he's like nothing good's gonna come if someone discovers a second body of Peter Parker. There's gonna be a ton of questions. So yeah, so he
Yes.
throws them down there hoping to just burn it up.
Okay, and he then didn't
Yeah.
check the results. So I understand all that. But then there's two of them now, and clearly it's like Ben Riley survived the smokestack or whatever. So there's two. I understand there's two. What I don't understand is the skeleton. Because I'm like,
exactly.
what
You're
I
not
don't
meant to
understand.
you're not meant
You
to
know-
understand it.
You know
Dave.
what? You know what? They'll explain it at the end. I'll tell you now because it's really nothing. Because there was so much crap going on in this Clone Saga that at the last episode, before we do the last episode, just so you guys can do the reading, I'm gonna have to tell you who the mastermind is because there's an issue where the mastermind just explains everything. It's basically the mastermind writing in his journals, laying out everything. Yeah. So we'll do that. We'll do that with the end of the '90s stuff. But it's like they were just throwing so much at this just to keep the story moving.
Yeah.
It's basically the mastermind just saying, you know what, just to confuse everyone, I threw an extra clone body into that smokestack just to confuse them.
What
You know?
I
i.e.
understand that,
Dave.
but why do they not think that? Like, because
What?
the skeleton makes no sense to me if you're
Because-
either Ben or Peter.
Why do they not think that another that
Okay,
someone's
put it
thrown
this
in
way.
a skeleton? Yeah, probably.
No. But what I mean is this. Okay, so Peter Parker, who originally threw the skeleton in, threw the body in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but then the guy turns up, and the whole thing is, oh no, I survived the smokestack. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, the body I threw in survived. Okay.
Yep.
When a skeleton turns up, like there doesn't seem to be any question of like, where did the skeleton come from? They just start freaking out. Like clearly it was put in by someone else.
I assume they freak out. They do kind of freak out.
They kind of do in an issue or two, but it is kind of weird. They kind of gloss over it. But I remember there's at least one where they're just like, well, wait a minute. Well, Ben's like, I thought I went into the smokestack. If there's a body in there, then who the hell am I?
No, you're absolutely right, Dave. Yeah, there is that. I mean, they kind of quickly forget about it.
Like it would be a very existential crisis for you.
Yeah.
You would think. Because if you were the one who got thrown in the smokestack and survived, and then they find a body in there, maybe you start to actually say, oh, well, maybe I actually am a clone grown in a vat. You know what I mean? Like, because there was someone who died in the smokestack.
Maybe, Dave, there is a lot of those sorts of wonderings like off panel, and we'll get it in a limited series in a year or two when James DeMatteis or Peter David takes up the helm and gives us the forgotten days.
It's just
years.
funny that they sort of don't go into it because it seems a very obvious question.
Well, I guess they kind of pull the wool over our eyes, I think, because it's kind of like, okay, just forget about that. But the idea is that we've got to there's a trouble at hand now. So in this issue, there's that identification machine that guy comes up with. So it's like, let's all focuses on that now.
Which is actually pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. And a brave play by Peter Parker.
Very brave at
gutsy,
the end.
Like, if he was a poker player, he played that hand very well, I've got to say.
Again, they were throwing so much crap to keep this story going and the whole clone stuff. And I think at this point, they're like, you know what? We don't need that skeleton. It's just a pain in the ass. Let's write the story, get it over with.
That's right. I mean, that's it, Phil. There's just so many moving parts to this that there's just no room to expand on that, like you're saying, Dave. So they kind of gloss over things, and you just kind of,
But
I like it. Hold on. Wait, I know Ray was joking around, but did you see? I guess they announced J.M. DeMatteis is going to be doing a new miniseries, The Last Hunt. And I was like, what is this? I guess it's a sequel to Kraven's Last Hunt, but they said it's going to take place. It's going to take place when Peter and Mary Jane are in Portland, I guess. So it's like it's going to be around this time.
So there you go.
Maybe they will use. Oh, hey, there's a skeleton. Why
come up again
with the skeleton?
I read briefly. I didn't check into it too much. He said it was a sequel to Kraven's Last Hunt, but a prequel to Soul of the Hunter.
Yeah, it takes place like in between. Yeah,
and Soul of the Hunter, I think, was quite a long time after, published quite a few years after Kraven's Last Hunt. I think it was
a few years, but I thought it was. I thought even that was before the Clone Saga, though. So that's gonna be.
I would have thought so, but
Although, I mean, if you read it, I mean, it can pretty much take place anytime Peter and Mary Jane are married. So
I'm always up for more JM doing.
He's great.
It's great stuff.
He's got a handle on the
It's nice to give him a second chance just because it's like, I think a lot of those guys kind of jump ship because or I don't know if they let him go or some of them, like I know Dan Jurgens jumped ship because they wanted to do Peter Parker and they're like, oh, no, you got to do we got Ben Riley right now. I got to do Ben Riley. It's like,
Well, he told me twice that the reason he left on very good terms was just that he was tired of writing part 3 of a story.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like pretty much, like that
I mean,
was
he's
what
done
he
it
did.
most recently as well. He did really well. I thought it was a pretty solid effort. The latest Ben Riley Scarlet Spider
Yes.
Totally
series,
agree,
which was a
totally agree.
5-parter. Yeah, that
I
was
loved
decent.
it. I thought it was
So,
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he knows what he's
Yeah.
doing. So, who is on
Yeah.
art in this one? Is it John Romita Jr. or is it someone else?
No, it
Oh,
can't
no,
be
no, no,
Romita. It's a bit patchy, I must say.
Yeah,
Did
it's odd.
everyone agree? Like, it's a bit
It's
like
very.
there's a couple of
I like
Couple
it,
shots of
but
Batman.
I don't know if there's a lot of like digital stuff because do you see like to certain of those panels where like the background's like blurry and stuff? I don't know if they're trying to like show like depth and stuff,
But
but
the faces look really weird. There's one where Peter's on the phone and he just looks like a mutated. person.
we got 3 pencilers in this issue. That might be
Yeah, we
why.
got-
Yeah,
Yes,
you're right.
Okay.
Yes,
And
Steve
a writer I've
Rogers.
never heard of either. I've never heard of this writer,
yeah.
Ivan Skolnick.
Oh, Evan
Oh, yeah.
Skolnick. He was
It's Skolnick,
he
oh,
took
yeah.
he was working on New Warriors after like the original team left, like after Fabian
Mhm.
left. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Stephen Butler's
he was the one who did that those last few issues of Web of Scarlet
yes.
Spider Ray.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Stephen Butler's a great penciler. I love his work on Web of Spider-Man.
Okay, here's the problem with the art. We have 3 pencilers and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
God.
6 inkers.
Yeah, yep,
Wow.
yep. That's it. That is
You know,
it in a
and you know what?
nutshell.
I don't hate it. It's so of its time, and it's quite stylistic.
Some of
that
it's good, but
Yeah, like it's not great. Like I'm looking at a picture with Peter on the phone with
yes,
Mary
that's
Jane.
terrible. That's
It's
terrible.
not a great. You wouldn't pick that as Mary Jane either, and like it's almost like a doll in bed. You know, like a
Oh,
mannequin.
it's terrible.
Like there's no
Yeah.
expression. But at the same time, I don't want to be too critical. Because at the same time, like there's a really weird just panel on it's page 156 in my trade where a grey thing is going over Peter's head, which is the
Yes,
the
that
art
one.
doesn't
Yeah,
look good.
his
But
forehead
at the
looks
same
really.
time, the story I think is actually quite interesting, and it kind of moves along under the strength of the story. Like it's not great artwork by any means.
Yeah,
but,
no, I think the story is good. I think the pacing's really well done. I think it's actually quite interesting, and for a large, this is a 47-page on digital. For a large issue, this kind of flowed really well.
Oh, it
I
did.
loved it. And you had the pro turn up, who I enjoyed.
Oh yeah, the pro. He's
is he
Spider,
much of a player in Spider-Man? Because I'm not familiar with this period.
I don't
No,
think
when they did like that 2 months of like Scarlet Spiders books instead of Spider-Man, yeah, he showed up there. So he's basically a Ben villain, yeah.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
he
turning
smashes
up and-
Peter. Smashes him.
He absolutely annihilates Peter. Peter
Yeah.
really cops it without his powers, doesn't he?
He does.
Like,
Yeah.
he just cops it hardcore. And the funny thing is, even as Spider-Man, he cops it, but now he's copping it without any powers.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite it's quite common for Spider-Man to get beaten up. Like that happens quite a lot.
I do like the touch though with the pro that he puts that thing around Peter's neck and after getting the skeleton, because Peter can't do anything else, he actually keeps his word, which is nice. So he's got like a code himself.
Well, that's his kind of stick, isn't it? I'm a pro.
Yeah,
you know,
he's a
I
pro,
stand by my kind of. I enjoyed that too, Ray. I thought that was kind of cool.
So here we go. So towards the end is the butler. You can tell a mile away. I think the butler ink pencils. Just the fight at the end with the hackneyed Sinister Five or whatever. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
I've got a comment here, and I want to get your guys' take. So I'm reading this digitally.
Yeah, me too.
And this is where it's a shame that I'm reading digitally because the double page spreads just go onto one screen on my iPad. Like I don't know if you can see it, but
I turn it. Yeah, I rotate it though. You get the full.
You can rotate it, or you can even zoom too. I know I don't like that either.
I zoom. I do zoom. Ray, I don't know if I'm just a bit retarded or something, but my thing just doesn't go around.
You might have it on lock. You may have locked the rotation, but
I'm basically just an old man who just doesn't understand technology. That's
but
what I'm turning into.
I guess where you're going at though, Dave, is that those splashes are gorgeous. There are a couple
of
they're
Spider-Man, cool. Like,
fantastic.
I actually think that's where the artwork really starts to shine and pays off this because the start of it is all quite interesting, and then you have this kind of cool series of panels, and then there's a really great panel, and I'm going to show it to you. It's on 177, the one with the panel with the faces.
Yep. Oh yeah, the
Um,
next. Yep.
Brilliant. I love that because you see all the different faces,
Yeah.
and I just thought that was really nice artwork. Like,
I love the lead up to it. There are 5 splash pages in a row. I count.
yeah, no, they're good.
Fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
great Spider-Man. Like, you look at the Spider-Man and
Spider-Man's
the
awesome.
fights, it's beautiful. Like,
Very good.
That's the thing. I don't think there's any bad art in this issue, but I think between the 3 different like pencilers, you can tell the difference between each one. So it kind of like drags you out of it. It's like,
it's
okay,
jarring.
I could see where this one left off and Butler picked up, and
Look, I disagree to an extent. I think there are some really dodgy panels.
yeah, some of the faces, yeah.
But I mean, overall, I mean, it wasn't like I read this whole thing grizzling about the art. You know,
Well, it gets stronger as it goes on, Ray, because clearly your guy takes over.
Yeah,
and he
it's
really
it's like a relay race. He's a finisher. The big finish, Phil. So,
yeah.
I did like the end as well, where they all win in the end, and then there's the scene with Ben and Peter and Mary Jane's even raising a glass of beer or something to them all, and they're just all doing maybe, but a little luck never hurts. That was like good on Mary Jane. Notice she's got like a dog collar on her as well. Like, she's got like a choker on. Like I was like, Mary
fashion
Jane.
Day, fashion,
90s fashion.
No, I'm not critical. I enjoyed it. I was
Dave's like, I love women in dog collars.
Yeah. Hey, look.
But how about? I mean, like Dave, you touched upon it as well. How about that move by Peter and the whole? I loved it. It reminded me of, is it Presumed Innocent, the Harrison Ford film, where the technology will slowly reveal the face of whoever committed the crime, and this was the same thing. But I loved how Peter Parker just, as you said, Dave, big call.
You could just hear the dramatic music as that computer put that face together,
And then Peter saying,
I mean, because the logic is, and it made sense that Peter took the photo, so he couldn't be Spider-Man. He couldn't be Spider-Man because he's the one who took the photo of.
Well, and then plus when they were testing the machine earlier, they took a scan of Peter, so it's like, oh, hey, that scan you took before,
that's all it is. You've just replicated what you scanned before, and you're a hack.
And nobody's thinking clones either. So, Peter's standing right there. So he's like, I can't be the dead body. I'm standing right here.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole sweeping under the rug when the guy's like, I need to recheck. And they're like, no way.
I know.
Ruined his career.
Well, I know. We ruined a guy's career. Took a tool away the cops could have maybe used. But they're like, nah.
His actual technology was actually correct.
Yeah,
he was like light years ahead of the curve. Yeah. But he's done. He's a joke now. But like Mary Jane, Peter, and Ben are just raising a big cheese at the end. We got away with it.
Yeah, it was a nice professional career. Yay!
Yeah. Oh, it was a nice ending. Like, it's always good when those 3 get together because Ben's kind of on his own, and we know, like from the next issue at least, Phil, or as you suggested, Peter slowly gets his power back. Yeah. So
I just want to, but I mean, I don't mean to be sexist here, but if we just want to focus in on Mary Jane. With the collar on, as you see, you notice the hint of the bust line there at the table. You can see how the curvature of the bosom, and I mean, a nice touch by the artist to kind of like include that. I think and you actually see Peter looking kind of admiringly.
Oh, where is he looking?
Yeah, and is he looking downward? And
hey, Dave, he gets to sleep with that. Man. Come on,
ambiguous. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he does. He does get to sleep with it. Yeah, so it's a good old time had by all.
Can I just say also as well, that page just before that last page, Dave, where you have Peter Parker looking up at Ben Reilly. That's a classic Peter look. Whoever drew that, hats off. That looks exactly like
it is.
Yeah, that looks like a Romita Senior or something.
Yeah, Romita Senior. It looks exactly like
it is.
Yeah.
It's very 60s, isn't it? Like
very good.
Late 60s Peter Parker. Yeah, it's nice actually.
Yeah.
And actually, noticing that, I also want to that the woman, the cop, has got like a boob window, and if you look at the doctor when she says not going to happen, it looks like he's staring directly at it. If
He
you look at
does,
it, if
yeah,
you actually
he's
look,
looking-
it looks like
What is he
he's
looking at? Yeah.
directly staring at her boob window as
the
she's
boob
telling
window.
him his career's over, basically.
That is a powerful crime fighting tool, Dave. Because I mean, there's an issue of Power Girl where she's like, I don't wear a mask. I don't have to wear a mask.
Yeah,
I
you
only need
don't
that
have
boob
to.
window. You know.
Sure, you definitely don't have to,
Yeah.
Power Girl,
Yeah.
at all.
I mean, despite what we say about like the differing art, I mean, we're going to jump to the other ones, of course, but I have to say that I probably enjoyed this one the most out of the three
The
that we're going
storyline.
to do tonight. Yeah, I thought it was pretty
Yeah,
good.
no, this is my favorite of the stories.
Yeah.
No, this is a good story. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most coherent story. I mean, we'll get to that team up, but 69, while it's good, it's pretty much just like a wrap up of wrapping up Blood
Yeah.
Brothers and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. But that was still, I mean, still good as well. But
Yeah.
69 also has a massive is it that one that has a massive recap section? I'm not sure.
probably.
Maybe it might.
Let me have a
I
look.
think it's that one, but they love a recap in the Clone Saga, and it probably
Oh,
they
yeah.
need one because it gets so complicated that they like.
Well, yeah, you got 4 regular Spider-Man books, so you basically have a weekly book, weekly
Yeah.
Spider-Man book. So it's like,
What
well,
a
they
time
did-
to be alive!
well, they
What a
did
time
re-
to be alive.
they did recap in this unlimited issue. They're like, okay, here's the story on the skeleton.
Mhm.
Phil,
That might
at-
be what you're thinking of, Dave.
in the 90s, Phil. Yeah, that probably is what I'm thinking. In the 90s, were
Yeah.
you picking this up, Phil, at the stand?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So have you got all your singles, like still?
I do.
from then?
I do. Yeah, they're
Phil
downstairs.
has an amazing amount of comics,
Does he?
Dave.
Okay,
Dave, I
right.
have the majority of the comics that I've bought since around the age of 10 or 11. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a lot, wouldn't it?
15,
Like
18,000.
thousands?
oh, I have
18.
I have a basement full of them. Yes, that is an issue
That's
that comes
cool.
up with me and my wife. Yes.
Yeah, no, I got rid of my singles. It was nothing like that, but I had a fair few singles that
Yeah.
I got rid of when I moved in. My girlfriend and moved in, but then I bought all the trades and hardcovers and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's cool
Yeah.
that you kept them all.
And
Mm.
like half the time now, I'm just so lazy. I'm like, do I want to go down there and go through the system or just read it digitally? I'm like, oh.
But you know what? It's you should make the effort because like podcasting is right for it. Like you guys do comic book reviews. What better way to go back, hunt it down? If you've got a nice catalog system, pull it
Oh,
out.
yeah.
It's a great excuse to do it.
I'm
you know?
lazy too, though, because I often don't go to my hardcovers and just read digitally. I'm just can't be
Yeah,
bothered
true.
going- I'm like, I
think
can't
all
bother
of us
going
are
to the
guilty.
shelf.
'Cause-
I'm like, I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
bother going to the shelf. I'd rather
Yeah,
just sit here and
yeah.
just do it.
Every once in a while, Ray, especially like if it's like not on Marvel Unlimited or something, I'm like, oh, I guess I got to pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's
I think it's
cool.
a great. Yeah.
What's your longest run? Is it Spider-Man? Is that like in terms of a character? Who do you have the most of, off the top of your head? Is it Spider-Man?
It's probably pretty close between Spider-Man and that other guy.
Batman.
Batman. Yeah.
Favorite
Moon
character.
Knight.
Well, Batman spams out a lot of comics, so.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
if you-
Yeah.
if you
Well,
pull
again,
out-
in the 90s, it's like at certain points, Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman all had like 4 monthly books at it. It's
Yeah.
at a
Have
certain
you
point.
noticed Adam, the computer, mentioned to me the amount of Batman books that are going out at the moment? I actually find
Yeah.
I'm oversaturated.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
Bill
like,
and
yeah.
Lilith talk about it all the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's
week
ridiculous.
any given week, there's anywhere between like 3 to 8 Batman issues.
To me, it's
every
too
week.
much. I love Batman, and even I'm kind of
Yeah.
like turned off. I'm like, I can't keep up. I
Mm.
don't care that much. Like
Yeah.
it's like I'm reading Chip Zdarsky, but it's Batman. But
Oh.
I just find they're spamming it way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman and anything related to Batman, like a Nightwing
Mhm.
or Harley Quinn or stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, that
Robin. Yeah.
those are, I guess, their best sellers, so they keep pumping
Yep.
them out. Yeah.
It's the same like Spider-Man. They expand that canon. Now it's Spider People. Like there's a
Yeah.
huge extended family now. So yeah.
I guess
Anyway.
maybe I'm
For the
just not
good.
as tired
For the good.
of Spider-Man as I am Batman. I've read so much Batman now that I'm almost a bit burnt out. And just when I see there's like 7 titles in a week Batman related, I'm just like, I don't have the energy to read all these.
You're
You know?
killing them, Dave.
Batman.
Ah.
Poor Batman.
There's just something like a really well told, and I know Phil, you and Lilith have like opinions of the current Amazing Spider-Man, but there's just something really comforting about reading a really well told Spider-Man story. It's something that you don't get from, I think, other comics, and to each their own. Like Fantastic Four has its own flavor, but Spider-Man, there's just something feeling if you,
Yeah,
you
no,
feel
don't,
very
don't get me
familiar
wrong.
with,
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The current run is great, but I'm such an old man. I'm like modern comics move
spinning the
too
wheels.
slow. Modern
Yeah,
comics
yeah,
move
yeah.
too slow. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't guess we're writing for the trades or whatever, but I'm just like
Yeah.
most of
there's
the
that
time
too.
these days,
of
I'm just like
course.
pick up the pace. Come on.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I hear you, man. I actually store them up, so I have like 4 or 5 to read in a row. And I
Yeah, that's a
find
good.
that, well, I just find it's more enjoyable that way because
Yeah.
otherwise, I just like feel I'm like, oh my god, like I don't want to have to wait to be drip fed, you know. So I'm enjoying the Amazing Spider-Man run at the moment too, but I let it store up. I do the
Yeah.
same with Jim
Oh, yeah.
Zdarsky's Batman,
Okay.
because they do like when you look back at the comics of like even in the 80s, and obviously in the 70s and even more so in the 60s, like so much would happen in like 2 or 3 issues.
Yeah.
You know?
You can get a whole story in 1 to 3 issues. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, even a lot happened in that issue we read today, the one we just did.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot was packed in terms of action that I swear to God now that would be 3 issues.
At
You know?
least, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're
And
preaching to the converted there, Dave. Like with Phil, he's kind of nodding, going, "Yep,
Oh, yeah.
yep."
yeah, well,
Oh,
he's right.
that was the big thing when these were new, Dave. It's like, everyone was just like, oh, because there was people complaining. They're like, what, you mean Peter Parker wasn't the original Spider-Man? Because they were like, oh, hey, yeah, anyone who's been reading Spider-Man after Amazing Spider-Man 150, oh yeah, that guy you were reading about until the Clone Saga was a clone.
Yeah.
Oh
As
yeah,
you,
that was
as you can imagine, that did not go over well with people.
Oh
No,
no,
you would feel absolutely
remember.
robbed.
I remember at the outrage at the time. Like I wasn't actually reading it, but I very much remember the outrage at the time. Like,
Yeah.
And then it was just, then you get your like Wizard magazine articles. It's like, oh yeah, Peter Parker's going to return in Spider-Man 75. So then I think they mentioned that like 4 or 5 months beforehand. It's just like, oh, come on already.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, but I guess it's kind of funny because they've all said it. Like Tom DeFalco has said it, like James said it. They've all said it that it was just selling so much they had to keep feeding the story because it was it was kind of keeping them afloat with X-Men.
Oh yeah, that's what they said. I mean that in this era, in '94, it's like what was the big thing? Spider-Man Clone Saga and X-Men Age of Apocalypse or whatever. Yeah.
So from a business perspective, it makes sense. I can understand it from a business perspective that you would drag it out because it's selling books and also they were in trouble. They were actually in real financial
this was a very
trouble. So
fragile time for them. Yeah.
Well, I think they said too. Yeah, there was pressure, in '94 where it's like, look what DC's doing with their big events, Death of Superman, Nightfall. They're like, we need we need some big events like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, that's all good. So then we come to what is it?
69.
Spider-Man
69.
Just Spider-Man 69. And this is John Romita Jr. And
great art. I mean, this is where he really thrives. He just knows what he's doing here.
Beautiful.
But
this crazy hobgoblin. I'm not super familiar with this guy. It's like a cybernetic hobgoblin.
Well, it's Mackendale, but for Blood Brothers, I guess they made them all cybernetic.
He gets a few enhancements and all that.
And he's got his little gang of fellow enhanced.
He stuffs them off. The what is it? The something 12 or what are they?
Cell 12 or something.
Cell 12. We saw them previously. I think during Blood Brothers. And
the Expendables, I call them. They're very expendable.
Very much so. Yeah. But there's a good thing here of picking up where Ben is as a Ben Riley persona. Meeting up with the Daily Grind. And Peter, and basically the big one here for me was him getting his job back. Like that was a nice.
But he was kind of screwed in Blood Brothers. Like they blew up the Daily Grind. He was accused. He was. I was like, wow.
It was all hobby, right?
Well, yeah. The whole big conspiracies, like they were like messing with like computer records and everything. It's like, oh yeah, he has a history of messing with employers and stuff. And
how funny is it when Peter Parker comes in with Mary Jane and he's going through all the people and he goes, and Macintosh always was a friendly face, but we never really connected. And then he's like, Betty Grant. And he's talking to his wife. He goes, Betty Grant, my first growing up crush and a good friend. He's like, I got a second base.
Oh my God. That's the new thing. Like Lilith and I were like, we want a big Spider-Man conspiracy where like they come out with a huge story where it's like Betty Brant has been like, the big mastermind behind every
Yeah.
evil thing that's happened to Peter since like Amazing Fantasy 15. It's like, it's been me the whole time.
I've got a question. When I
Yeah.
finally find out whoever this mysterious mastermind is,
Mm.
there's so many layers to this conspiracy. Is it even someone I will know?
You will know this man.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, right.
Yes.
Okay, so I was like,
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee, yeah, the ghost. No, the ghost of what's his name, Steve Ditko.
Yeah, I mean, we get the whole thing fed again. Like, so we know that Hobby's not at the top of the food chain.
No, definitely
the
not.
other guy, okay, I keep on forgetting his name. He comes in again.
The undead guy.
Oh, Gaunt. Yeah.
Gaunt. That's it. I keep on forgetting his name, but
but he's not the mastermind, is he?
No.
He's not.
He
He's number.
serves someone
He's
else.
number 2 guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know who Gaunt is? Did he reveal that in Blood Brothers?
No. You'll know it. You'll probably
I'm
kind of
guessing.
be familiar with who it is, but it
I was guessing it was Norman Osborn. Is that correct?
who Gaunt? No.
No, okay. That was just my guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew he was dead, like at this time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't Norman Osborn technically dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So
yeah, and then a really cool fight again. I mean, you can't go wrong with Romeda's art here with a fight.
But
with
yeah,
Hobby.
but I like well, Ben finds it because I thought this was what you were going to say, Ray. But Ben Riley finds the doctor, I guess, who was working on Hobgoblin. He's like, "Where's Hobgoblin? I'm going to tell you, he's going to kill me." And Ben just keeps dropping him and catching him. He's like, "I could do this all night. I might miss, so you might want to tell me."
Yeah. No, that was a good opening, actually. A very good opening.
I enjoyed that actually. That was cool.
Call back to a lot of like 90s. Oh, I'm just thinking Commando, as well.
And
I was kind of thinking that might be the fun difference because I don't know if Peter would do that, but Ben's like, yeah, I'll play hacky sack with you all night.
Yeah. He was a little bit more impetuous, and a bit more brutal. No, it was cool. I enjoyed that, and so he then finally gets. What does he get from him? He gets.
Well, they're fighting, and then Ben tricks him back into the warehouse, and he's like, just admit everything, and Hobgoblin's like, ha ha, yes, I admit everything, and explains the whole thing, and he's just like, but no one will ever believe you, Spider-Man. But then Ben Urich and Peter Parker are right there recording the whole thing,
which is kind of funny.
I always like, this is a really big geeky thing, but I always kind of shirk a bit when people like rip the webbing off their face so easily. Like I heard, back in the Marvel universe, that handbook of the Marvel universe, the webbing's meant to be like just really strong. Like only the Hulk can really like pull it off.
Maybe his cybernetic enhancement making him stronger, Ray.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also, it was lucky where they crashed, because where they crashed was exactly where Ben Urich and Peter were. If they hadn't crashed in that exact spot.
Well, I think that's the whole point, because Ben tackles him. He's like, I got to get him back.
Yeah, he makes a big web. Yeah.
Okay, so he leads him specifically to that spot, because I thought it was just convenient that Peter's there proudly with the old-fashioned camera and Thingo's there with the recording device.
Yeah. So they do well, and look, mirroring the other issue as well. We end with the 3 again.
Oh yeah, they ever having a drink at the end. Yeah,
another drink. Dave, lack of boobage here, so
no boobage and no choke collar either.
No choke collar.
We see Peter. Why did Peter just smash the glass? I didn't understand.
I think it's meant to insinuate that his power's coming back, right?
Yeah, his powers are slowly coming back. Like he'll get bursts of power, and then it's gone again. Yeah, until we get to the end of the 90s Clone Saga when his, when he has to be Spider-Man again. Yeah, those powers come back. Yeah.
I see. I thought for a second he was having a moment of tension, but I was like, the story didn't seem to. I was confused. Right.
It's almost a spasm. That super strength turned on for 2 seconds. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. He's like, I'll get this back in 1997. Don't worry. I'm building up. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was enjoyable. If I bought this comic on the stands back in those days, I wouldn't have been disappointed with this, because it's kind of what I would expect.
It's nice too, because once Peter becomes Spider-Man again, he has the secret identity protection, because Ben makes that big spectacle in front of the Daily Bugle. Oh, Mr. Parker, I need your help. Okay, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And again, albeit just a standard length issue, there's something good just having a consistent artist I think.
Oh,
throughout the whole thing.
100%.
So,
And again, modern comics, it's like, look how much we packed, even though this is like a wrap-up issue, look how much we packed into this,
Oh, there's plenty. You
But
you actually get fights
I
as
prefer
well.
that though. To me, this is what I call meat on the bone.
Yes.
Like as opposed to today, I'm sipping at the soup and it's very weak and it's watered down, and I'm like, I have to, like.
But I mean,
up.
Just a slight defense of the current run, like issue 4, because I know you guys spoke about that. I love the fact that it was mainly action orientated, because modern comics we don't get a focus on action sometimes. It's just like really incidental, or it's something that is a little bit aside. The whole issue had Spider-Man, fighting his way through, thinking that he was fighting Tombstone's goons. And the great reveal at the end. So I really enjoyed the fact that, but I understand where you're coming from. That in essence, that issue was just like a fight, so it's spinning wheels.
I mean, I enjoyed that, but it's like some modern writers looking at you, Bendis. You'll get like most of the issue is talking heads, and you'll get like 2 or 3 pages of action. It's like, oh, look how action packed that issue was.
Oh, Jesus, his Legion run. You're lucky if you get 2 pages of action. Like pages of just text, and it's not interesting. It's just
Dave, are you reading Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes?
I read 1 issue, and I actually got on Legion Outpost and said it was possibly the worst comic I'd ever read. Issue 1. I thought, in all fairness, I gave Bendis a shot and thought his Legion is disappointing. What I read of his Justice League versus Legion, I thought was appallingly bad.
Well, again, it's basically them getting bounced through time in every issue. It's like, oh, there's something wrong with time. Well, we need to do something. Well, what do we need to do? I don't know. Well, we really should do something about this.
I mean, again, Ben. I mean, he's, as you say, Dave. He's probably past his prime because recently we covered again his 2006 Spider-Woman origin issue, and it's fantastic. I mean, there's no 20 pages of talking heads.
Well, he was in his prime then, Ray, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I guess that's the point. It was just really.
And I'm always like, certain characters, Jessica Drew, Jessica Jones, Miles Morales, even his Daredevil run wasn't bad. But I think once you up the power,
Daredevil was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, once you up the power level, like a Legion of Superheroes or an Avengers or an X-Men,
Superman,
then it kind of starts to get shaky. Superman, then it kind of starts to get shaky.
Yeah.
So,
and I think he also ran out of. He kept going and kept producing, but I think he ran out of plot or something. Like he just ran out of, because you're having to generate plot ideas. Nearly every writer has a formula, and I just think his own formula became very threadbare as the years went on.
He always tries to come in and reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
and to write a good story, you don't have to do that every single time. Like his Moon Knight run, Ray. When he made the 3 different personalities, it's like, what?
Embarrassing and awful is how I describe his Moon Knight run. I tell him that if he said, "How you going?" I say, "Better than your Moon Knight run." It's just shocking.
Oh, he's had far worse, but yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hey, Ray, I know you'll be in for this. Me and Lilith were talking. We were saying maybe. I mean, we still have a way away because we just recorded Capes 271. We said maybe for Capes 300 we should do like a roast 90s. Of Batman. Oh. Just people roasting Batman for issue 3.
Really?
Ray would love that, wouldn't you, Ray?
Yeah.
Ray would be like, "Does anyone need material? I will write the material."
Ray writes the whole show.
I said, man, I was thinking inviting all you guys, inviting all our friends, and be like, Ray. I was like, Ray has to be our closer. Ray has to be the final guy.
But what? Wow. Aren't you gonna piss off like listeners who like Batman? And
that's a bit of fun.
It's a bit of a roast.
No, those of us who like Batman get the joke, Ray.
Ray, we're pretty comfortable with Batman's position in the comic.
We're comfortable who we are, Ray.
But for example, I'd hit very gently because I do revere.
Oh yeah.
The character. I've got a question for you all. This came up on Wordballing the other day. John Sumption was talking to Ron Mars. What's your favorite Batmobile in live action or animation? Which one? I've got one, but I'll start with you, Phil.
I mean, I like the Batmobile from around in the comics from around the same time, but my favorite live action is that Michael Keaton one.
89.
Yeah.
That's mine too. I've got the model of that out in my cabinet, and I love it.
Yeah, I got some small
Ray,
ones,
what about you?
The 60s Adam West one.
Yeah, that's a brilliant one, Ray.
That's a fantastic one with the charge at whatever it is at the jet at the end.
That's lovely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got like a big vision. That's really nice, Phil. That is the 66 one is fantastic. That Batmobile. John Suntress had a good one. He said the Batman Forever Batmobile, which I also really like, and I actually would like to get a model of that to go along with my 89. Just spend some cash, make some dreams happen. Sell some.
Oh yeah, I read an article. Burt Ward was like massively intelligent. He is massively. Do you know that? And like he's a black belt, and he actually fought
massively egocentric as well.
Yeah, but he fought against Bruce Lee as well. He
Bruce Lee
sparred.
kick his ass? Did Bruce Lee?
Yeah, I think so. But
well, I mean,
No,
you'd be egotistical too. Is like during that show, all he had to do was fall backwards, and he was going to fall on a woman who would like sleep with him and stuff. Him and Adam West.
He's got like, I can't remember if this is correct. He had something like a photographic memory or like recall.
Really?
It's amazing. Like his it's the only one that can. I can't remember. He had some amazing ability, but very interesting human being. But yeah, I heard he's very egotistical as well. But
have you?
I mean,
heard
look,
that
if you were in
story?
your young 20s, wouldn't you be as well? Yeah.
And for 2 years, they were the biggest thing. Have you heard that story? I think it's Burt Ward went to like a high school thing. And Conan O'Brien, when he was like a student.
Oh, I did hear that story. Yes.
Yeah, and they stole the Robin outfit or something.
And he was like, riddle me this.
Yes. Yeah.
But Burt Ward did not take it well at all.
Yeah.
Like he was like, it's also I think he's that I did not know that he was so intelligent and stuff. I had no idea. I know he was very bitter apparently about the whole thing. Like
I'm gonna have to find an article for you. It's amazing.
Like it took decades to release that show in any form, like on digital or Blu-ray or anything, because like so many different people want so many rights. Like one person would own the music, do it, somebody else owned this, and that's why it took decades to get that show out because they had to make all these legal.
And funnily enough, though, in my childhood, it was a perennial on Saturday morning early.
In the 80s, they replayed that during the week. Yeah, that's how I watched it in reruns.
That's
like 20 years after the fact.
That was pretty much almost my first exposure to Batman. Like, before I read
that and Super Friends. That and Super Friends.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and it's so funny. Yeah, and I got it on Blu-ray, and it holds a great place in my heart. But it's interesting. But Ray, you're going to have to incorporate some of this stuff in your roast of Batman. You're going to have to bring in a bit of the Burt Ward reference. Maybe you can get Burt Ward to roast Batman. That would be funny.
Oh, that'd be good.
I don't think that would ever happen.
That would be hilarious. From Robin's perspective,
Yeah. So we get the last issue, right?
The team up, which I know
cream
Ray
of the crop.
Well, I know Ray is gonna. He's already indicated that he's gonna blast this one. In its defense,
Spider-Man Team Up 3. Yeah.
Yes, I want to say in its defense that I did enjoy the break-in, and I'm also proud that I guessed where they'll break into because they were deliberately making it like as if it was like Spider-Man was committing a crime, which would never happen, And I thought I've got a feeling he's breaking the Fantastic Four building. I don't know why I thought that. And
front cover,
then maybe it was cover, but I wasn't paying that much attention. Yeah, that's a good point, Ray. But I didn't think of that. I was reading and I was like, I've got a feeling it's a Baxter building. And then he places prank on Johnny, which I enjoyed. And I like seeing all the Fantastic Four. Like I like the Thing especially. And Reed's having a bad day. I don't know what's going on with Reed. He's got the beard going. He's got the grey hair going. The very fetching Sue Storm, who I'm very, very fond of Sue Storm. And she comes out in
it was on my list.
Barely covering herself with a robe that she's got going on there. And she unfortunately has lost her force field, which she refers to a couple of times during this issue.
Yeah.
It's the 90s stuff. I mean, this is the point where Reed they had Reed missing, like presumed dead for like probably like 2 years or something. Because I believe the story was like they were going to keep him dead longer, but Onslaught's coming and Heroes Reborn's coming, so they wanted like all four original Fantastic Four members that go in the Heroes Reborn.
And what's with his Jim Morrison beard? like as if he's recording.
He was
the
like stuck in.
writer
I
of the
don't know.
song.
I don't know why he didn't shave once he got home, but he was like
Yes.
stuck in like this prehistoric age or something where he couldn't
He
shave and
likes it.
stuff.
He likes it.
Yeah, when they found him, he had the beard. I'm like, why wouldn't you shave once you got home?
And the shackers as well. The shacker hair. Long
He's
hair.
really got it all going on. Like,
Let it go.
It does not look like Reed Richards apart from the grey,
Maybe
hair.
that's what
I think it was
Sue
I think it was them just beating you over the head with, oh, yes, this isn't the man you knew, before he disappeared like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Maybe
I
Sue
guess
prefers
he's been I did like the scene where the thing falls down that he winds up in the tub with all the women. And if you look at his eyes and he's like, I expect to fall into the middle of a war or Doctor Doom's armor or something, but this ain't bad at all.
Yeah.
What are you
I
saying?
like the thing.
What are you saying, Dave? He's getting his rocks off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, just going back to
story is slight.
just going to the break-in. What I did like about it was that you kind of think, I thought at least it was Franklin Richards that was the target of Spider-Man, because you got like the poster of baseball and
A video game.
what is a video game. So, and it sounded like he was quite nefarious, like, and he's put this little, you think are explosives. So it was a really good opening, like in that sense.
It was good. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think
I don't think Jurgens
let down is the wizard. The wizard is a bit lame.
Yeah, I just don't think Jurgens captures like the Fantastic Four, if that's indeed what he's trying to encapsulate. Because the wizard and the whole thing with the video game, and it was a little bit of a bit of
average.
snooze.
I thought he got it's not great. I thought he got Thing. And if it had just been Thing and Spidey, I think he got it. But I think also the Wizard is just lame. The Wizard storyline is just is so stupid that. And then at the end of it, the punishment. Well, this is what I thought was hilarious. This shows correct me if I'm wrong, but like how they always say it's sexist with Invisible Woman. Like for a long time she was kind of invisible. In this, am I right in saying Invisible Woman is the one who's cooked the meal and all Spider-Man's done is serve it up?
Oh, really? At the end?
Because they say, that was the best meal I ever had, sis. You're one great cook. And she goes, the meal was average, but having it served this way did put it over the top.
Yeah.
So they didn't even get Spider-Man to make the meal. She still had to make the meal.
Yeah,
and Spider-Man just pulled it out. Yeah, and it was like, why wouldn't you get him to make the meal? It was like
I mean, maybe he doesn't cook it. I mean, you could end up with something that tastes horrible, Dave. But no, I get you. I mean, it's Reed Richards. Why didn't you have a robot in that kitchen making food?
Exactly.
It's just kind of like Reed's back, and he's like, "Go out and make the dinner, love."
Or have some sort of machine.
Yeah, some machine. Yeah.
She is fetching.
Pull it out of the unstable molecule, the bottomless pocket or something.
Hold on. Dave's still focused on Sue there.
I'm just looking at Sue Storm at the table, and she says the meal was average, but just focusing on that 4, where that 4 is.
I can't see through it.
Yeah, I just
Dave's wishing he's got X-ray vision right about now.
I would really wish I'd be at many a meal at the table with Sue Storm. I do like Sue Storm. Yeah, look, apart from if it wasn't for the Wizard, I'd like the issue a lot more. It was still fun though. I enjoy when Spider-Man meets the Fantastic Four. I always enjoy that.
That is good, yeah. But everything else, like
it was very much
medieval.
Yeah,
it was very fluffy.
Yeah, it was. Dan Jurgens just basically writing for a paycheck.
Yeah, this is a phone-in, right?
Oh, really? Phoning him massively, man. Like, wouldn't be surprised if his wife did it or something. And he just put it under the name. Like,
basically,
Ghost wrote it.
Basically, we just need an issue. Yeah.
You should just churn it out, churn and burn.
I mean, maybe was it a sign of the time? What was the impetus? Like, video games and fantasy was a big thing. I don't know why it was chosen.
That is so funny when Ben Grimm's in that other world and he even's like, man, it doesn't even look like 1996.
Yeah, good old Ben Grimm. When he's just falling through like space and like dimensions, he's just like, damn it, like he's not even that worried. He just crash lands.
The thing is an awesome character. Like you can't go wrong, really. Yeah, and admittedly, Jurgens gets his voice down well, I think.
I think the Thing's the easiest.
He is, you're right.
I think
because you can have a lot of fun with that. He's over the top.
besides his physical appearance, he's the most normal guy, personality.
Down to earth,
Yeah.
down to earth kind of bruiser. Yeah, I mean, look, it was okay, but it's kind of funny at the end. The guy's got the video game, but he can't even
And there's
plug
no
it in.
electricity. Yeah,
It's just like,
I think that's meant to be a big joke. Yeah,
yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's what we end on.
Yep. And it's going to be a classic, guys. It's going to make up. It's going to be in the Clone Saga Omnibus one day.
Oh gosh. Let's get the price guide. Let's see how
I
much this
wonder
is.
how many issues, because I read or heard, this Ron Marks interview with John Suntress. He said he came in at the very peak, just before the crash, and he said his first issue of Silver Surfer sold 300,000 issues.
Mm.
And he said the older friends of his who brought him into the industry, like the Jim Starlins and these other guys, said it will not last. This isn't not normal. Don't spend it all at once. Like, we are going through a peak, and it crashed. It tumbled. But 300,000 issues of Silver Surfer, who I would consider an A-list character, I wonder what like a Spider-Man team-up issue sold then. In this period now, like. I wonder what compared to now.
I mean, I wonder what because this is like basically like a 5th or 6th Spider-Man title. Yeah.
Yeah, really
I wonder
kind
if
of
it broke
spreading
100,000.
thin.
Do you reckon it broke 100,000?
This issue?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, just
There've
based on
been
Spider-Man
better
and
issues.
Fantastic
Like,
Four.
I mean, Phil, we did the Silver Surfer Ben Reilly.
Yeah,
issue.
that was the
really
last
good.
issue of this series.
Yeah, I
the
really
Silver
enjoyed that
Surfer.
one.
That was better.
So
I mean, I don't know if it's just a problem too, because I think they've even admitted, they said Dan Jurgens was one of the ones he really wanted to write Peter Parker, and he got stuck with Ben Reilly. So I mean, because if you look at this issue, it doesn't matter who's under that Spider-Man mask.
Absolutely.
It's Spider-Man.
He treats it like it's Peter. You would think it would just
Yeah, it could be any of them.
And
yeah,
it's easy to do that because they're clones, and exactly. But I don't know. It's
and it is interesting. Even when he serves the meal, he doesn't take his mask off. So,
well, I told you in this era, they're Peter and Ben. The Fantastic Four didn't know who they were.
And
but his identity is still a secret. Yeah,
I thought Reed knew like everyone's identity.
I think he would. Out of everyone, you think he would? Yeah.
Interesting.
Wolverine does. Well, he would.
Well, yeah, because he smelled him. Yeah,
smells him. Yeah.
Wolverine, Spider-Man. It's established.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. There's not a lot in this era. I think Wolverine knows. Daredevil knows.
Any telepath? Really? You think any telepath would know?
Well, supposedly Professor X was nice and didn't. Yeah, but
yeah. Interesting times, and I saw Dan Slott was on Twitter, and he was saying he considers that the limit of people who should know his identity is really small, like 13 or something. And he said himself,
I remember saying,
he said something like, "I myself broke this rule." But he thinks it should be a very small.
Well, I think
club.
he's the one who did it, because after Civil War and One More Day, remember they wiped everyone's memory who Peter is. I believe Slott's the one who wrote the story. It was either him or Mark Waid. One of them wrote the story where it's basically just like, oh yeah, the Fantastic Four knows who he is. Not building up to it or anything. It's just like, oh yeah, they knew who he was.
Yeah.
Well, how about the issue? And I don't know who the writer is. I want to say maybe Nick Spencer. Now J. Jonah Jameson knows, and I was just like.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now
it might be Chip. It might have been Chip who broke it. Yeah,
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes.
But I'm sort of like, okay, sort of everyone knows now. Like, it's
I know it's kind of
once Jay Jonah knows, it's like,
what's weird? He knows, but Aunt May doesn't know again, and it's just so. But then it's weird. They do all this big thing where Jonah knows, and then 75% of the time they don't use Jonah anymore. It's just like. That's the other thing. Modern comics, they slow it down, and then it's like, remember back, in the quick days, they would give you at least a page or two of the supporting cast.
Yeah,
Phil was trying very hard not to say, you remember back in the day.
No, I totally agree with you, Phil. I agree. But you know what I think they do? This is what they do. They slow shit down. They run through pages, but they also don't last as long as the old guys used to last.
Yeah,
so
true.
they sort of don't pay off their stories. It's weird. Like,
that's what people are crying out, that they should stay on for a run for a long. I mean, Dan Slott gets to do that,
he did,
and some of them, and Nick
many
Spencer
of them
did.
don't.
Chip.
Like,
I mean, look at Chip. I mean, they rebooted Daredevil, and he's still here. It's like,
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, a lot of times, guys are slowing stuff down and then hopping off, so they don't actually pay their own stories off. I don't think properly.
It must be annoying, frustrating for them.
Yeah, because some guys you're lucky if you get them for a year.
And they're kind of like watching their back as well, like not knowing when.
Oh, yeah.
From what I've heard, when their last issue is. So it's kind of a very strange environment to try and establish something.
Like Jed McKay, like he didn't know he was going to get
that's what I'm
past
thinking.
12 on Moon Knight, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't know. So he was saying something like, you write every issue, like, kind of like it's your last one. You have to really try.
Yeah, but my advice to them would be to pack more into the issue if that's the case.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be to slow it down. Because I remember Joe Kelly when he was when he talks about his Deadpool run, they thought they were going to get cancelled pretty much every issue, and so he packed so much storyline in and just
Absolutely
kept going
agree.
for it, because it's like if we finish tomorrow, like, well, at least we go down swinging, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and then too, I wonder if like they are ordered to, or it's like people write for the trades and stuff, because they put everything in trades now. It's like back then, like they didn't collect everything in trades.
But if you had a trade, if I had a trade that was packed with entertaining issues, it's a better trade.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. I mean,
but I'm thinking,
instead of 1 6-issue arc, I'm like, I don't care if you have like just like 1 or 2 like mini arcs in a trade.
Yeah,
what's the problem?
Yeah, I guess the problem they're thinking is they have to try and resolve all those, B, C, D subplots all in 6 issues as well, but I'm totally with you. I
don't think they do, though. The thing is, I don't think they succeed a lot of the time.
Well, that's why they have a very kind of threadbare sometimes story, because it's just one main story that they have to tell over 6 issues, and you can't really invest or commit to saying other stuff in your story, because you're going to have to resolve it, and it's just not enough space.
It's interesting. It's definitely a problem the industry has that's not necessarily totally blamed on the writers, really.
No,
exactly. It's a problem of the actual industry and the way it comes out, and they have, and also their sales are rock bottom so much of the time that they can't justify it by saying, I've got these really high sales to justify loyalty. Like they're on the brink of cancellation constantly. So it's an interesting dilemma, and they clearly,
they must, those 6-issue trades must still be going great guns, because I would have thought like complete collections would be quite popular as well. They're about 14 to 20 issues. So if that was the norm, then that would be great. Can you imagine, like a writer would be guaranteed 18 to 20 issues, and that's room to breathe. Again, the Spider-Woman Carla Pacheco run, 21 issues. She managed to pack a lot in there. That's 21 issues she got. That was fantastic. I wish there was more, but that would predominantly be sold in 6-issue formats, whereas I wonder, I'd love a complete collection, but I don't know if they sell enough. I'd love it.
Complete collections generally get people where it's kind of more of a prestige run, or it's a successful run by quite a decent name creator. Yeah, and they kind of go. The complete collections are a fantastic package.
They're
but
fantastic. Yeah,
as you say, some people don't even get enough issues to make up a complete collection.
Yeah, sadly.
But no, like Dave was talking about the industry. I mean, I think some of the problems distribution. I mean, I don't know about you guys down there, but back in the 90s, I mean, you had newsstands selling these things. Not just LCS's newsstands. I mean, we had spinner racks in our grocery stores and stuff. You don't see that now. You either have to hunt down an LCS. You might be able to get some trade paperbacks at Barnes and Noble bookstore, or otherwise you got to go online.
I used to. Start my collection with Comic Sport from the news agency as well, and I go there now. There's only like Phantom Comics, and nothing against Phantom Comics, but that's the only thing that they have. They don't sell, like they used to sell Spider-Man, Iron Man, Hulk.
My first comic, Iron Man, was bought that I bought with my money. Iron Man was bought at the newsagent, and I bought a ton of Marvel over the course of a year, all from the newsagent before I even discovered a comic store.
Me too.
That was me. I didn't even know about comic shops. That's how I started. Between the newsstands and our local grocery stores.
The first time I walked into a comic store, I remember at Labyrinth down in Hobart, Tasmania, my eyes and mind just blew out. I couldn't believe that this mythical place was real. Just wall-to-wall comics everywhere. My young mind, I was just like, oh my God, where do I even start?
No, exactly the feeling.
And I was so uneducated that I thought that all the comics of like all the Avengers comics were there. You know, in my mind, I was
okay, right.
I remember because you know what confused me. I walked in and they had Avengers 1 in a glass case with some other stuff, but I remember Avengers 1, and I was going, "Wow, Avengers 1! I could start at 1." And they're up to whatever number they were up to.
Yeah.
I could just buy them all. I went home to my mum and I was like, I think I'm going to buy all the Avengers comics. And she's like, how many are there? I go, 270. And, you know, like, but it was actually like the month's comics because, you know, or a couple of months comics or whatever. And they did have, I remember, the complete Punisher run, which was up to about issue 15 or 16, the Mike Baron run. They had it all and I bought it all. The guy gave me a questionnaire, and I love Batman, and I said, but I do wish he was a bit tougher on the criminals. I don't think you should let them go. I said, I don't think you should let them go. And he said, I think I've got the character. I said, I think I've got the character for you, Dave. And he pointed me over to Punisher, and that's how I got introduced.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Those old days as well. Like Comic Kingdom was the first one over here, and I just remember going up the rickety stairs. It was kind of like going up a brothel. To be honest,
no, it's not. It's dodgy.
It was really dodgy, creaky stairs. You go up, but at the top level, wall to wall shelves, like they had the issues, but they even had them stacked at the bottom, like that thick of like the latest issues and stuff, just all aligned on the bottom of the shelf. It was a great time to be alive for a comic book fan.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember
as a comic book fan.
I remember the first time I saw a back issue bin, I was like, oh yeah. But no, it's like the LCSs and like even when I went to my first con, like it seemed like I was stepping into the future because it's like the newsstands and I think like the spinner racks and the grocery stores, they seemed like they were like a month behind. So like if I went to an actual LCS or a con, I was like, it's the future. They have the next issue before it comes out. Oh my god!
And you know what? I think that's why I permanently from that point onwards went to the comic book store. I went in there and they had, as you say, the month before, and I was like, "This is perfect." I don't, I could just, and they were reliably getting it. Whereas the newsagent, I'm sure,
you can't guarantee. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I was a desperado, Ray. I remember reading so many comics in the newsagent without. I was like, my goal was I am going to read as many as I can because I cannot afford all the ones I want. I was reading Hulk, I was reading Spider-Man. Wow. I was just burning through the comic, putting it back on the shelf.
Oh yeah, I reckon newsagents would have loved it as well. People actually perusing, their shelves. It's great. Yeah,
it's great times. Well, what are we giving this out of? I'm going to give it, from what we've read this week, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. And my favorite one was the first one, but I also enjoyed the second one. They're probably 7.5s, and the Fantastic Four was probably like a 6. Overall, I'm giving it a 7.
Okay. Yeah, are we doing numbers, Phil? Or what do you numbers?
That's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to give about the same as well. I think the third story really pulls it down. If anything, it would have been up there, maybe 7, maybe a 7.5. I'm going to go down to 6.5. Unfortunately, that's okay. It's good. No, it's decent. I'm not talking. These aren't masterpieces, but they're really enjoyable. The third one, though, I found just a little bit. It's a bit of a waste of time, but it's it's I could say I've read it now.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I mean, I'm somewhere in that 6.5 to 7 range. Okay, I'll be honest. I was rereading these. I have read the team up book before, but I couldn't get through it this time. I'm just like,
wow, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, and I've read it a few times before, so yeah.
So Phil sped read it through it. He flicked through it.
Pretty much,
He goes, I'm just gonna.
I mean, I kind of know what happens already because I read it before, but I'm like,
saying
to myself again.
I'm just gonna rely on my memory.
That's not I've done that before. Don't you worry. Some of the comic book reviews on Single of Doom, when you get to some of the weeklies, I'm just like, yes, Peter, yeah, got it.
What happened? But it sounds like we're all in the same boat, I think. But again, I mean, putting this up against last episode, I really did enjoy Blood Brothers. I thought that really did well. So I prefer that over these issues. But having said that, again, 69 was very strong, and Unlimited for an unlimited for a 47 pager, that was really good.
Blood Brothers has the advantage that it's 6-parter telling a
true.
story that's one through line.
True.
Which I read it in the I missed last time because I was on my birthday, but it was strong. Whereas this one, I think, if it had been like 6 issues of one story at the caliber of the first 2, it'd be more of a contender. But it's always harder when it's a bit more like 3 they're 3. They're not one shots, but they're sort of 3 separate stories.
Yeah, that's
against
true.
a pretty strong 6-parter.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had that week team up issue, and then even the other 2, which we thought were better. I mean, they were kind of wrap up issues. We were wrapping up the skeleton stuff. We were wrapping up Blood Brothers.
Yeah,
I was glad to get a wrap up of the skeleton. I must admit.
Yes,
because that was nice and it was nice to see the daily grind brought back.
Yep,
back in. I tell you what, Ben Riley got hammered in Blood Brothers.
Yeah.
Hammer time.
Oh yeah, I feel so sorry.
Peter got hammered in Blood Brothers.
Peter's just been everybody's little bitch. Like he's just been slapped around and
I love it. I love it though because he's so vulnerable. Like during this time, it's like you actually feel. Oh geez, hope something doesn't.
I noticed a major baby bump on Mary Jane in one of the.
I'm sure you did, Dave.
Well, she did. Like I mean, because I've not read. I know that she is it a miscarriage or something? Something happens. She doesn't have the baby, does she?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how they're going to handle that because I'm surprised that they did that. I still think that would have been a good idea to have a little spider baby.
I mean, it's par for the course now these days, like with a lot of characters, isn't it? So
yeah, I think it was just I mean, we'll get there when we get to the end of the '90s stuff, but I think it's just they kind of wanted to like get rid of any. Well, all mentions of like the Clone Saga era. It's just like
Do they really brush over it? Because I don't recall her really grieving or anything like anything I've read ever mentioning it.
There is one issue of Spectacular Spider-Man. It's the issue like right after the last part of the Clone Saga where like Peter and Mary Jane kind of mourn. But after that, there's like I think there was like a mandate. They're like they'll mention clones.
Yeah, whitewashing. Because you honestly, if you hadn't, I wasn't even aware that it had happened until I heard it mentioned in later years.
Yeah,
because I wasn't reading during the time period, so it's kind of crazy. I don't know. I like your T-shirt, Ray.
Thank you.
I believe you can buy that if you would like it, right?
You can buy it on TeePublic. To know her is to fear her. The Spider Woman podcast. Go check it out. On all good podcast.
Oh, it's your own merch. I like it. You're wearing your own merch. Oh, that's a good idea, Ray.
It's a subtle self-promotion there.
I almost wore an ITK shirt today.
I want Ray to turn up in the beak of Khonshu, like wear the mask with the beak and all that.
I'm waiting, Dave. I'm waiting for a Signal of Doom shirt. Yeah.
Oh,
good idea. Yeah. Signal of Doom shirt, Signal of Doom cap. Maybe some glasses.
You get one of those Photoshop photos you always see on like Facebook or something. You'll see a picture of Chuck Dixon wearing a Signal of Doom shirt or something.
Yeah. There's some dodgy stuff on Facebook, that's for sure.
I don't know if you saw Phil as well. I wore a cape shirt, one of the podcasts as well. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Promoting the collective.
I love that. Well, someone's got to. Someone's got to, man. Like we're always promoting the collective. I promote it very strongly on Signal of Doom.
Yes, absolutely.
It should be in law. It should have been written in blood that all collective members should. I won't go down this avenue again.
Hey, but no, everyone mentions Ray because Ray's on every podcast on Earth. So
he's
exactly.
Get around.
He gets around like
Ray gets around. That's what I've heard.
Try it. You have to go on tour. You got to take the band on tour when
totally. I love coming on this show. I love coming on this show. I was gutted.
Exactly.
I was gutted to miss last times. But I've come back blazing, and we've mentioned the Comic-Con stuff, and tune into Signal and Doom, guys. For the greatest show in history on the internet. Easily, I would say. Obviously, Capes Lunatics and Ray puts a good effort in with Into the Night. No one's disputing that, but.
I'm pretty sure there's a fresh episode of Signal of Doom up now, kids.
Oh, yes.
There is. Yeah. There sure is. Me and Rich blazing, and Rich was unhappy about something or other.
Really?
I don't know. Something happened that he wasn't happy about. And, He's but he's all primed to give live reactions tomorrow on the Comic Con news. So that's going to be interesting.
Nice. Yeah, be good.
The only comment I got from him so far was the Dungeons and Dragons trailer looks so bad. I'm like, I liked it. I don't know
what. Really?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, but
I'm not even a D&D fan, but it looked really good to me.
I enjoyed it too. I actually don't know what he expects. Like, I mean, like an immersive VR experience, perhaps. You know, that might satisfy him.
All right, let's wrap this up, and then we'll get to our plugs. Yeah. So next week, kids, we already recorded it. Lilith and I are doing we did 2 Mr. Fear issues, Marvel Team Up 92 with Hawkeye and Web of Spider-Man 63. And then we're doing 3 episodes in a row with Spider-Man and She-Hulk team ups. I wonder why.
Yes.
That's cool.
Marvel Team Up 107, Sensational She-Hulk 3. That's the burn run. And then next week, She-Hulk number 4 from 2004 and Avenging Spider-Man 7. And then Marvel Team Up 11 through 13 from 2005. And yes, kids, in 1 month, we'll be back for another Sausage Fest. Me, Ray, and Dave will cover Sensational Spider-Man number 6, Amazing Spider-Man 413, and Ben and Peter's appearance in Daredevil 354.
Oh,
that's
yes.
Cool.
That'd be
cool. Pretty cool.
So we'll get some Daredevil in here. Yeah.
Well, wait, some
God,
Daredevil.
I've got that. I've got to fish it out. Yeah.
Speaking of.
All right. Bring it on.
All right. So, send your thoughts and send your questions for these gentlemen. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can follow Ultimate Spider-Cast on Facebook, on Twitter, find links to all the various social medias for all the shows we do. The YouTube channel, again, free. Just smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a second of everything we do. Interviews, shows like this, all of it. So just smash that subscribe button.
Smash it.
Most importantly, the Patreon, again, paying for this out of our own pocket, $3 to $5 gets you early access to creator interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with that genius, Mr. DG Chichester.
I got the good mic out for you guys.
And superhero movie brackets because Lilith Hellfire loves man pain. We'll find that we're fighting the worst superhero movie of all time. The July episode we're recording next week is going to be Halle Berry's Catwoman versus Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. So,
both gems.
Catwoman's the worst one, in my opinion. That's a pretty bad movie.
And of course, we're talking Green Lantern. So yes, Ray, Lilith demanded we drag poor Will into it.
Will.
So and pick her fill up the nifty. We have merch too, Ray. Capes and Lunatics.
Wow, there you go.
Everything's at Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics.
All right, hey, for that merchandise in the background for Phil's got there. Something's got to pay for that, you know.
That's right. All right. Hey, Dave, did I hear something about a show called Signal of Doom? What's that all about?
Yes. Well, it's the greatest show on the internet that we've created. We've been going now for about 17 years. Episode 275 dropped this week. Me and Rich covering pop culture, comic book news, comic books, etc., etc. Bob Dylan and Frank Sinatra news also, of course. We're on Facebook. We're on all iTunes and Apple, whatever, like all the normal podcast places. Signal of Doom. Check us out. We've got a couple of spin-off shows, Dread or Dead, about Judge Dredd and Legion Outpost, but Signal of Doom's the main event. And so just check us out there. We're on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Just Signal of Doom. Check us out. And if you want to, if you've enjoyed me here, this is kind of like me at my most PG-ified, my most genial, But if you want a little bit more uncensored, a little bit more unhinged, tune into Signal.
If you want the unedited version of him talking about Sue Storm's body, yes, I got Signal to do.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Ray, you're not on any podcasts, are you?
Oh no, yes, I am, Phil. Thank you for asking. Look, anyone keen to hear my thoughts, just hit me up on Twitter at RayRayPod, REYREY Pod, and you'll find some links to a few shows that I do, Into the Night, To Know Her is to Fear Her, and Last Sons of Krypton. Incidentally, as well, if you could, please check out NRL.com, the National Rugby League. Just send your complaints as to how the Tigers were robbed today and how we should get reinstated the
That's
2 points
right.
for the win. Thank you very much.
But yes, and again, Ray
I
puts
agree
on
with
good
everything
shows.
he said.
Ray puts on good shows, has good go-hosts. Rebecca and Saren make him look much better than he is.
Oh, they
and,
do.
And of course, that ray of sunshine, Connor McKenna.
Yeah.
So-
Always happy, always
That
just thrilled
bastion
to
of
be alive.
positivity. Yes.
Oh,
Connor
yes.
McKenna, yes.
It's very positive.
I actually said that that Connor and Rich should do a show together called The Burnouts because they're so burnt out by just modern culture. Just the two of them together, I think it would just be perfect,
that would
Be
be
almost
interesting.
like Nirvana
Yes.
recording Nevermind, just the frustration boiling to the surface.
It's just that Nirvana song over and over, just like from the
just on
Batman movie.
constant loop. It's a denial, just constantly the two of them just really getting into it. So just an idea.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, boys, for joining us again.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Again, next time, we're going to be talking 2 Spider-Man issues, and we're going to get some Daredevil in here. So we can discuss Daredevil from this era.
Cool.
Get Lilith on.
I'll try. All right, kids. Until then, swing all back. What?